Hi, madam. My name is Troy Chong, and I'm from Class 2E and Group 29. Today, we will present about our group assignment, and the topic is GPA and CGPA calculator. Okay, the first one is my part is a demo section. We can see the title here and the selection part here. For the selection part, we can see the calculate GPA, calculate CGPA, and close the program. Okay, now I debug first. If I enter the letter is cannot, symbol is cannot, and more than 3 is cannot, less than 1 is cannot. We only can enter 1, 2, or 3 to choose your selection. Okay, we will continue to the next part. We enter 1 first. We go to the GPA part. The first one, you need to enter the number of subject first. The number of subject only can 1 until 6. You cannot enter others. If I enter letter, it cannot continue. Until simple also cannot. More than 6, less than 1 is also cannot. We just only can enter 1 until 6. So I enter 3. Okay, after you enter the number of subject, we can see the credit hour for the subject 1. You also can enter 1 until 3 only. I enter 3. And the next one is a score of the subject 1. You can enter 0 until 4. I enter 3.33. Okay, the next one is the subject 2. Okay, I just continue write it 3.2. The third one, if I enter 4, this cannot. So we just only can enter 1 until 3. Okay, the score is also, if I enter 5, it cannot. Enter -1, it cannot. So I just enter 4. Okay, now we will come out the GPA score for you, and you will go back the selection part after you get the GPA score. Okay, you can also calculate again your GPA and or other part. So we go to the second part is the CGPA. Into the CGPA part, we can see the number of semester first, and also cannot enter the letter, enter the symbol more than 3. That's that one is also cannot. You just only can enter 1 until 3. So I enter 2. You can see the GPA of semester 1. You need to enter this first. So we enter the above 3.45. Okay, the second semester I enter the 4. We can see the total of the CGPA score is a 3.72. After you get the CGPA score, you will go back again the selection part. You can choose again. You need calculate GPA or CGPA or just close the program. If you don't want to calculate again, you can just close the program and enter 3 and they will stop and close it. Okay, this one is for my demo section part, and I will pass to my group member. They will explain the source code part to you. Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Priscilla Goishan. I am the leader of Group 29. Our computer programming topic is about GPA and CGPA calculator. First of all, I would like to thank one of my teammates, Jeff Chong, for showing us how to use this calculator. Next, I will introduce you to the main page of this calculator, as well as the options, and also I will start by introducing you to the general scope of our entire GPA and CGPA calculator. First of all, regarding the library, we use the very common IOS stream, IOMany string, and UniSTD. For the IOS stream, we know that it is used to include functionality for standard input CIN and standard output Cout. These are fundamental components for reading input from the user and displaying output to the consoler. In this snippet, Cout is used to output welcome message to the consoler. Additional, cin is used later in the menu function to obtain user input, like example cin selection. Besides, the IOMany header provides tools for controlling the formatting of input and output, allowing the programmer to specify how data should be presented on the screen. Include IOMany is used for the fix and set precision too. Both are manipulators from the IOMany headers. For the fix, it set the floating point output to fixed point notation, meaning that the number will be displayed with a fixed number of digits after the decimal point. But for the set precision too, it sets the precision of the floating point output to 2 digits after the decimal point. This means that the GPA value will be displayed with 2 decimal places. Not only that, the include string in this code is preprocessor directive that includes the C++ standard library string header. This header provides functionality for working with string in C++. The start function is used to convert strings to floating point numbers. For example, in the calculate GPA and calculate CGPA function, the credits and scores values are initially raised as string using cin, and then they are converted to integer stored or floating points number stuff for further processing. For string comparisons, in some part of the code, string comparisons are performed to validate user input. For instance, when checking if the entry GPA or score is within a valid range like row 116, it is worth noting that this particular comparison is based on lexicographical order, treating the strings as sequence of characters. A more suitable comparison will involve comparing the converted numerical values directly. Includes unistd.h is a preprocessor directive that includes the Unix standard header file named unistd.h. This header is typically used in Unix-like operating system, including Linux, and provide access to various system calls, including the sleep function. The sleep1 statement is used after displaying the welcome message in the main functions. The next part is integer main. From row 15 to 17 is our title, Welcome to GPA CGPA Calculator. Then row 19 is a sleep function. The next row 21 is the menu. The function of sleep is that after our title appears, the system will stay for 1 second before calling the next most important part, which is the menu. We choose this sleep function because it makes the entire system tidier and more beautiful. After 1 second of delay, row 21 will start calling menu. For the menu part, we design the menu this way because it is easier to use, simple to understand, and user-friendly. If the user typing error does not cause a bug, we will remind the user that the content he typed is wrong and let him choose again. In this way, even if the user hits the wrong option, they will have the opportunity to choose again. We choose do while loop because do while loop will help check the user's choice. If the choice is wrong, do while loop will repeat the questions and remind the user to choose the correct answer until the user chooses the correct answer. Our calculator has 3 options. The first is GPA calculator, the second is CGPA calculator, the third is close the program. We choose 1, 2, and 3 to correspond to the 3 options. If the user chooses one of the options, it will automatically jump to the corresponding functions. Here, we choose if else. If else statement helps us to run block of code under certain conditions and another block of under different conditions. For example, if the user select 1, which is calculate GPA, then we will automatically jump to calculate GPA function. If the user select 3, that is close the program. Boolean will appear as false and then the system will be shut down. If the user's options are none of these 3, the system will prompt the user to make an incorrect choice and ask the user to make a new choice. The above is my introduction to this program. Next, regarding the calculate GPA part, I hand it over to my teammate Lim Chen Liang and ask him to explain all the details about calculate GPA.
I'm Lim Chen Liang. Let us walk into the calculations GPA part. First, let me introduce the variables. From row 75 to row 77, start from num subject, number of subject in integer, total credit, sum of credit in integer, total point, sum of point in float, number subject temp, number of subject temporarily in string, credit temp, store credit temporarily in string, score temp, store score temporarily in string, and the main concept is GPA equal to total point divided by total credit. Then, row 80 is prompt the user to provide the number of subjects between 1 to 6, and row 81 is store input of number of subject in num subject temp. Comes to row 84, this is a while loop that continues as long as the user input stored in num subject temp is not equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Row 86 is prompt the user to provide the number of subjects between 1 to 6 again. Row 87 is input of number of subjects. Row 89 is convert the validates user input stored in num subject temp from string to integer and assign it to the variables num subjects. The following, the row 91 and 92, also the variables, which is credit used to store credit in integer and score used to store score in float. Row 95 is a for loop that iterates through each number of subject, starting from the first number of subject index 0 up to the specified number of subjects continuously. Row 99 is prompt the user to provide the credit hours of subject between 1 to 3, and row 100 is store the input of number of credit hours. Then, the 103 is a while loop that continues as long as the user input stored in credit 10 is not equal to 1, 2, or 3. Row 105 prompted the user again to key in the number between 1 to 3 to debug, and row 106 is to store number of credit hours. Row 108 is used to convert the validate user input stored in credit temp from string to integer and assign it to the variables credit. Then for the score is similar. Row 111 is prompted the user to provide the score of subject between 1 to 4. Row 112 is to store input of score of subject for debug. Row 150 is a while loop that continues as long as the user's input stored in score temp is not equal to 1, 2, 3, or 4. Row 117 is prompted the user to provide the number of subject between 1 to 4 again, and row 118 is input of score of subjects. Row 120 convert the validate user input score in score temp from strings to integer and assign it to the variable score. Row 123 to row 126, they are one of initiates for loops that iterates through each number of subjects, summing and multiplying the individual score and credit stored in the arrays credit and score into total point, and one is initiates for loops that iterates through each number of subjects, summing the individual credit stored in the arrays credit into total credit. Row 129 is GPA, is calculated by the total point dividing the total credits and store it in the variables GPA. Row 132 is outputs the calculated GPA to the console with 2 dimensions placed, maintaining the consistent formatting using the fixed and separations tool. Then I will pass my mic to my teammate. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Wong Bing Yuan. Now I'm going to introduce about this calculate CGPA function. In this void data type function, it is designed to calculate CGPA based on user input for the number of semesters and the corresponding GPA for each semester. In the code, we have a few key variables on row 136 and 137. First, sem is an integer data type variable that represents the number of semesters. Then, total GPA is a float data type variable that stores the number of all individual GPAs. Next, CGPA is also a float data type variable, which is the final calculated cumulative grade point average. It's calculated by dividing the total GPA by the number of semesters. Besides, let's take a closer look at the code. In this function, we incorporate input validation into the program to ensure accurate data processing. On row 138, we have 2 temporary string variables, semtemp and GPAtemp. These serve as initial storage for user inputs before validation. In this function, it begins by prompting the user to enter the number of semesters, which is limited between 1 to 3, and the user's input is stored in semtemp. To guarantee the input's validity, a validation while loop ensures the entered value falls within the acceptable range 1, 2, or 3 if a wrong input is given. Only after this validation is successful thus, the program then will convert semtemp to sem from a string to an integer by using stoi, which is shown on row 150. After obtaining the number of semesters from the user, we set up a flexible array size for GPA. This way, the GPA values can be recorded in alignment with the specified number of semesters. Then, a for loop that iterates through each semester, starting from the first semester, which is index 0, up to the specified number of semesters. Similarly, it will prompt the user to enter the GPA of each requested semester and limited between 0 to 4, and the user's input is stored in GPAtemp. Then, we will check if the input is a valid float within the range of 0 to 4 by using while loop. If not, we will request another valid input from the user. These input validation loops are crucial. They prevent incorrect data such as alphabets or symbols from affecting the program's calculations. Users can be confident that the CGPA calculation is based on accurate and reliable data. Once validated, GPA term will be converted to GPA from a string to a float by using STOF, which is shown on row 167. After validation, the program proceeds to calculate the total GPA by using a for loop to sum up the GPAs of individual semesters from the array GPA. The CGPA is then determined by dividing the total GPA by the number of semesters. Lastly, as it is a void function, it does not return any value. So, we conclude by displaying the calculated CGPA with two decimal places. This meticulous approach to user input and validation ensures the reliability of the final output. That's all from me. Thank you.